It's another day, another air quality alert. I feel like we've been dealing with it a lot. Why can't Canada get things under control? A lot of people are asking. What about high school sports schedule? Things have gotten going. Practices are outside. There are some guidelines from the Minnesota-St High School League about air quality. We wanted to talk a little bit more about this with meteorologist Cody Matz. And then I had a couple of other things up my sleeve too. Perseid meteor shower, and then Farmer's Almanac, which I don't say out loud in front of Cody. First Canada. So let's talk about this, Cody, because every once in a while I like to just have you come on and give it to us straight. A lot of people are like, ugh, this air, I'm so tired of this. Why can't Canada get their stuff together and get control of these wildfires and stop using us for their ashtray? So what do we need to know here about what's actually happening in Canada?
Well, the thing to know is that Canada has just as much of an issue getting fires under control as we do. As I look at this, there's actually a computer screen behind me, and I'm just going to take a moment to count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. I've lost count. 10 plus fires in the western U.S., all over 100,000 acres. Our smoke goes to Canada. Canada's smoke occasionally comes to us. So we're kind of all in this together, so to speak. We in the U.S. have a hard enough time getting our own fires in control. We actually had a live report from one of the Fox reporters who's actually covering a fire in northern Arizona. I don't remember the name of the fire, but it's in the Tonto National Forest. It's northeast of Phoenix. And she dove into kind of what the conditions that fire crews have to deal with, and then the things they have to do to get fires in control. And I thought this really put it into perspective. So that current fire is only about 12,000 acres. They have 2,000 firefighters on that fire for a 12,000 acre fire. So imagine, I realize it's not a direct correlation, but imagine a 150,000 acre fire. Well, imagine how many fire crews you have to have on the ground to try and get that fire under control. It's an insane number that we just don't have. We don't have enough trained individuals. We don't have enough equipment. We don't have enough ground transportation. There aren't enough roads. And you're talking about the western U.S. And I know this from personal experience from where I've lived. Both Minnesota, Mississippi, is where I went to college, and just talking to some folks. And one of the things that I found interesting, this is a long way to talk about this, but one of the things I found interesting is you don't know what you don't know. And what I mean by that is that there are a lot of people that have never been to the western U.S. who have absolutely no concept of how desolate it is. So the eastern 2/3 of the country, farm country, you can say you're in the middle of nowhere because you're not in a big city. I mean, even central Minnesota can be referred to as the middle of nowhere. But there is a farm everywhere. Like, there are people around. It's not many of them, but there are people, there are services, there are roads, there are dirt roads, there are asphalt roads, there are all this stuff. You get to the western U.S., and there are many instances where you're just driving along on an interstate. And it says, I remember one specifically, I-10, Western Texas. It says no services, gas up now, because there are no services for 96 miles. So that's West Texas. Nevada is more desolate than that. Parts of Utah, even sections of Colorado, northern Arizona is extremely rural. So you're not talking, farm country. You're talking literally nothing.
Okay.
And so there are no roads. It's very hard to get in and out. And then you're expecting fire crews to get in and out on the ground. You can do as much fighting from the air. You can have 1,000 planes covering these with water, and it's just not enough. The Fox reporter on the Tonto National Forest talked about a specific fire line. And what fire crews are literally doing is they're literally digging like a 10-foot wide trench kind of around the fire to be able to create a fire break so it can stop in that spot. And then you have to have crews on the ground actually putting out what we call spot fires, where embers burn and kind of flail everywhere because of the winds. They create new fires. All of that has to be contained for however many thousands and thousands and thousands of acres are burning at one time. So you transport that same thought to central and northern Canada, which is desolate as it is, nobody around, hardly anyone lives there. There are no road networks. And then you're trying to get fire crews in there. And then here's some perspective. On average, Canada over the last 4 or 5 weeks has been burning 1 to 2 million acres a week.
Wow.
Hennepin County, the most populous county in Minnesota, home to Minneapolis and many other cities, western side of the suburbs, is 336,000 acres. So imagine burning 3 to 6 Hennepin counties per week.
And again, these are areas where it's not populous at all. Like there may not be roads, there may not. So it's kind of almost like a risk reward thing. Like why would we spend, not that you have the resources or the money, but why would you even do that when, it's just not, I see. Okay.
If you have unlimited personnel, unlimited resources, unlimited time, unlimited money, sure, you can do anything you want, but that's just not reality. So it's impossible.
So at some point though, when does this start to subside? When does this, or is this just the pattern that we are in, summer after summer because of, drought conditions or whatever may be happening?
Honestly, a couple of things. It appears to be the pattern we're in for the time being. Not only this summer, but obviously the last, 3 of the last 5 summers.
Yeah. Okay.
But you can actually stem that back to winter. So this is where everything kind of affects everything else in small doses. And a perfect example I can think of that is we've all been in traffic. So you're on an interstate. You're in the middle of a city. You've got 3 or 4 or 5 lanes on an interstate or freeway, whatever you want to call it. And traffic is driving along just fine. And then somebody puts their brakes on briefly. Like just taps their brakes a little bit. Well, then the person behind them has to tap their brakes, and the person behind them then taps their brakes. They're like, oh, I don't want to be in this lane. Then they change lanes, and then that person behind them taps their brakes. And so you're creating this domino effect that after a certain amount of time, suddenly you're in gridlock because essentially one person put their brakes on. Now, it's obviously more complex than that, but that's the general thought here. And so everything kind of affects everything else, climate-wise, weather-wise, etc. It's a closed system, meaning nothing in, nothing out. It's Earth. Nothing can get in, nothing can get out. So when you're talking about the overall effects that winter can have on summer, a lot of these areas have really been dwindling the last several years on their winter snowpack. And so it being in the northern U.S., we know about winter snowpack. We know the effects it can have, both good and bad. One of the good sides of that is if you have a extended stretch of dry conditions in the spring, late spring and early summer, if you still have snow on the ground, it's not a big deal because the snow kind of eats away at that and you have water kind of trickling everywhere. Well, without the snowpack extending into March, or in some cases actually drying up at the end of February, now all of a sudden you have dry brush and everything's dry. You need rain. The parts of Canada have had some drought since then. So then not only did they not have much of a snowpack, but they haven't had much rain. Wow. And so one thing leads to another, and you start fire season early, and then it just explodes.
Okay. Well, I don't know. So many people are talking about this every day, and so it's just nice to understand a little bit more about the how and the why, and
And keep in mind that a lot of these areas haven't burned in a long time. You have a lot of fuel up there. Now, that doesn't necessarily, the same areas can't necessarily burn next year or the following year, but now that you've scorched these areas, you're a lot less likely, a lot less prone to burn in the future. So if that's some solace.
Okay. All right. Well, thank you for that. I appreciate that and putting it kind of into layman's terms for us here. I wanted to ask you about the Farmer's Almanac really quick. So you want to plug your ears for a second and I'll read what the forecast hints at for the winter? Okay. The forecast hints at a winter across the country with colder than usual temperatures, frequent snowfalls, and unpredictable weather patterns expected to impact regions from coast to coast. It will be the coldest in the Northern Plains, the Great Lakes, and New England. In Minnesota and Maine, you could see consistent cold snaps mid-January and mid-February. Go ahead. I'm just gonna let you have the floor because this is gonna be fun.
I have a question for you.
Oh no.
So is there anything in the description you just read that we don't see every year?
No, sir. There's not. In the description I just read.
Well, that is a way for them to be accurate, is that they can just state the obvious. We're going to see frequent cold snaps, and there will be cold and snowy because it's cold and snowy every year.
But it gives people something to talk about. At dinner tonight.
It gives people something to whine about. Okay. Let's be honest.
Did you see that Farmer's Almanac? They said it's going to be colder than usual. Colder than usual.
So to take it back a little bit. Farmer's Almanac, I suppose, was a great thing. I mean, I wasn't around. I suppose it was a great thing before meteorology became far more accurate. So the late 1800s, early 1900s, whatever, that's fine. My thing to them is the Farmer's Almanac is this, like, they say it's their secret formula or whatever they call it. Okay, if it's secret and you're that, you're that, you put it out every year and you're that gung-ho about it, then why don't you just tell us how you do it? Why don't you tell us how to predict it? There's nothing secret about what we as meteorologists do. All of the information that we get for our forecasts are on the internet. It's just the internet's a big place, so you have to know where to look. That's one of the reasons why you get what I would classify as what social meteorologists when they post these model data and try to freak people out and try to get clicks. That's not what the average meteorologist does, somebody with training that knows how to read this information. But I mean, I encourage anyone to ask me any question, like, how do you forecast this? How do you do this? I'd be happy to give you an explainer anytime. It's just the Farmer's Almanac keeps it secret. Why?
You're such a fun killer, Cody. Come on.
I know.
Come on.
Hey, guess what? Here's some fun. It's going to snow this winter.
Ah! And you are so happy about that. Our resident snow lover, cold lover. Wait. Cody, thank you for your time today. And you're working today. We'll see a little bit later tonight. And I know you'll reference the Farmer's Almanac many times.
More than likely.
Thank you. We'll see you a little bit later. All right. Take care.